Good morning, everybody. This is Britt Simon. It's morning where I am. It's about 7:30 in the morning, 7:40 almost. And I have a few minutes. I have about 45 minutes to go over the DV 2021 order that we got last night. I was, as some of you will know, I was traveling as we got the order. I was about to get on the plane, happy that we got the order before I got on the plane, so I could at least talk about that. But yeah, this morning, obviously, the news is sinking in. I see a lot of really unhappy, negative comments on Twitter. I understand that. Chuck said the other day, and he absolutely was right. I've said this before. Judge Mehta is a baby splitter. Right, so those of you that have read the biblical stories, and I'm sure there are similar stories in any of the holy books, when the decision came, when two mothers were trying to say this baby was theirs, the king said, "Okay, we'll split the baby," and obviously the true mother came forward and said, "No, don't split the baby. She can have the baby," and that's how the king knew whose baby it was, right? So we talk about the baby splitting. The baby splitting is really a matter of, okay, not everyone is going to be happy with this decision. Some people are going to be happy, some people won't. And so Judge Mehta is a baby splitter. He's trying to find an equitable position with the basis of logic and a math calculation. If you've read the order, there is a sort of fairly complex calculation where he's considered a number of factors, and he's come up with a mathematical decision that not many people will be thrilled about, I guess. But I can tell you this: for about 7,500 people, it's going to be a big deal. And so it won't keep everybody happy, but it will keep those 7,500 people happy. And for that, frankly, I'm grateful. We also have to realize that the lawsuits caused an increased period of activity from September 9th to September 30th, meaning more cases were scheduled than were planned to be scheduled. And specifically, I know of cases which were absolutely scheduled and interviewed within that last 3 weeks of the last few days. Some people without documentarily being documentarily qualified. I mean, some fairly extraordinary stuff happened in that last few days. And so, none of that happens without lawsuits. So for those of you that think this was somehow, I've seen comments, it's a game, it's politics, it's not a big win, it's a loss, and all this sort of thing. I mean, you people are, you're not seeing the big picture. You have to understand how difficult this is, and how extraordinary it is that these lawsuits are achieving reservation orders. Until DV 2020, when we got a reservation order last year, and then similar to this year, these things were unheard of. Right, the case law we're using is from an old case years ago, where one person had a reserved visa, right, for issuance after the end of the year. Based on that, we got a 9,000 reservation last year, 9,095. We got 7,500 this year. Last year in DV 2020, there was no processing going on, and we got 7,000 people processed in the last 3 weeks of DV 2020. This year, several thousand more in DV 2021 will have been processed, and we've got another 7,500. So for those of you that are determined to see the glass half empty, I'm sorry, but you're just not paying attention. You're not paying attention to how hard this is, how big a win this is, and how extraordinary this is. If you at least, look at what the government wrote just a couple of days ago, still questioning the judge's authority to make this decision, still refusing to discuss even the allocation of one extra visa. They wanted the number to be 0. This is the government lawyers. They've been losing these cases for in 2 separate years now, and they still believe the judge has no authority to do this. They're still fighting to the last minute, even after the judge has told them what he's going to do, which he did a few weeks ago. They're still fighting it. So for you to take a view of, oh, well, that's not a very good decision then. Well, I'm sorry, you're just not paying attention. And you know, I've even seen people say things like, what sort of, you know, ridiculous justice this is, you know, meaning it's so much better in your country? Really? Okay. I don't think so. And I don't think that's why you want to come to America, frankly. But if you really feel that your country is, you know, is got a better justice system than this, and that justice in general is so easy, then I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain to you any better. So let's, I'm not going to take too many questions here because I've been reading people's questions. So I think I know roughly what you're going to be asking, but let me just address a couple of things. I think there's a couple of things, right? This guy, Mohammed, stop spamming right now. Stop. I'm tired. I've just been traveling for a couple of days. I'm about to do another really fast work day and then a long drive. And frankly, I don't want to be dealing with this, right? So stop your spamming, okay? You're a 2022 winner. I'm not going to be discussing 2022 in any great way this morning. And certainly you don't need to keep spamming and just, you know, blitzing this whole thing, right? Just have a little bit of patience. Okay, so just in case some of you don't know what happened, right? We got a reservation order, as I was saying we would, on the last day of the DV lottery, DV 2021. Judge Mehta reserved 6,914 visas. They're visas. They're not selected. They're not cases. This is for people. So that would be something less than, let's say, around about 3,500 cases for the Goodluck cases, and Goodluck includes the other cases consolidated with it. Okay, so it's not just Goodluck; it's Goodluck and the other cases. There has already been a reservation order for the Rai case, which affects people in the Schengen area. So that's about another 950 visas or so that are being reserved for issuance from the Schengen area. So that's also in action here. We've got 950 there. We've got 6,914 for Goodluck and the related cases, and 481 visas for the Go case specifically. Now, each of those cases are at different points in their process. And so the reservation order was necessary to sort of stop the clock, right? That's what Judge Mehta did. This is not a final order in Go, and it's certainly not a final order in Goodluck or any of the other cases, right? You'll find that, you know, Goodluck is going to continue to be argued for months to come. Okay, there won't be any visas issued in the Goodluck case between now and probably March or April. So, you know, just in Goodluck case, there's going to be a long time of waiting. The arguments will continue, but the Goodluck case has got these 6,914 visas set aside for it when that case is fully resolved. But there's already a schedule of ongoing argument for Goodluck, and that schedule is already in place, and it finishes up in I want to say late February, but I could be wrong on the dates. But that means that we won't have a final order in Goodluck until, you know, well into next year. Go is more advanced. It was a slightly different sort of case, and it was filed earlier. And it's more advanced. So we expect the final order for Go fairly soon. It could come within a few weeks. But again, the order yesterday was a preservation order or a reservation order of visas for those cases. It was not the final order. Okay, so we know we're going to win the Go case, and I'm 99.999% certain we're going to win the Goodluck case, right? The government's going to continue to argue both cases. Actually, they're done arguing in Go. They can't really sort of keep arguing, although they keep trying. but they're going to continue to argue, right? And they could even appeal. The government could appeal, and our side could appeal the reservation yesterday. I mean, there's appeals could happen. So you need to understand the timeline is not going to be, an immediate move towards issuing DV 2021 visas for Go or Goodluck or anything else. There is going to be a large, long period of time for the Goodluck cases, and there will be at least a month or two of delay, I would say, for Go cases. Okay. I hope you're paying attention to that, because I know I'm going to have questions. Why is this not? Why is this not happening? What's happening? I mean, there's a lot of information available to us all, and many of us, and I'm looking at the camera, many of us are not paying attention to the information that's out there, and then you're acting surprised when information that you should know comes out and you assumed something totally different. That's what happens. More often than not, that's what happens. People that, for example, believe, well, I paid for a lawsuit, therefore I should get priority, or I paid for a lawsuit, therefore it should be guaranteed that I get a visa. Again, you were never told that by the lawyers, and in fact, to be absolutely blunt, you were told the opposite of that. Okay, but you haven't paid attention in quite a lot of the cases. So it's frustrating to me personally, because it then leads to lots of comments which are just plucked out of thin air and don't make any sense. Okay, so timeline. I've talked about the timeline. We're not going to see a case, for example, that was just in administrative processing, which is a Go plaintiff or a Goodluck plaintiff. We're not going to see that case continue automatically from 2 days ago. You had an interview 2 days ago, but you didn't get issued in time. That's not just going to pop out of the embassy in a few days' time. As far as the embassy are concerned, at this point, there is no final order in Go or Goodluck. And so if you contact the embassies now, they're going to say things like, well, DV 2021 is over. I'm sorry, but you didn't make it in time. So that's the position that you're going to have to deal with when you contact KCC, or you contact the embassy to talk about your case that you're processing on. If you missed your interview over the last couple of weeks, if you had your interview but you failed to provide some document, or there was some sort of reason that your case was on AP, those cases in the normal course of events, without these lawsuits, those cases would be dead now. They would not continue. You will have lost your chance. That's the reality. That's the cold reality. If you're a plaintiff on Go or Goodluck, there's a chance to get that reprocessed or processed later. But the timeline is going to take some time to resolve. It's not going to be immediate, and you're going to have to be patient. And people that were in the DV 2020 case, for example, they can tell you they're still waiting for the final order in the Gomez case, right? Judge Metra has said precisely what he's going to do in the Gomez case, but he's not given the order. He said what he's going to do. He's asked the government to explain, when they can issue the visas. They came up with this bullshit nonsense of 2023. And so Judge Mehta has got to sort out when he wants the Gomez cases to be issued, and he's got to release the final order on that. I expect that to happen fairly soon, but I don't have a precise date, by the way, for those of you that are probably asking in the chat here for 2020 information. I don't have a final date for that. Okay, but back to 2021. So we talked about the timeline. Let's talk again about appeals. I mentioned it just a moment. The government could appeal this reservation. They're more likely to appeal, I think, the final orders than the reservation. Right now, as of a couple of days ago, they were saying to the judge, you don't have authority to reserve visas, and you don't have authority to tell us to continue to process visas beyond the deadline. That's their position. That's their considered position after a year and a half of litigation where they've studied the position long and hard. They're not just playing around. I mean, they've got reason to say what they're saying, right? They're interpreting the law in certain ways. We're interpreting it a different way. The judge seems to be siding with our interpretation. But the government could easily appeal any of the final decisions, and they could do, right? I would have said a few days ago that I think that's not very likely. But since they stated their position just a couple of days ago, after the memorandum of opinion order that came out on September 9th, because they restated their position about, they were not asked to do that. They were asked to come up with a mathematical way of dishing out visas and a timeline and that sort of thing. And they came back and said, well, there shouldn't be any visas, and you've got no authority to reserve visas or issue visas. So I do think that there's an increased chance now of an appeal by the government, and if there is an appeal, then it will delay things, still further. Even if we get the final go order, and that's then appealed, it will delay things while that appeal goes through. And I think they have something like a window of about 60 days after a final order to lodge an appeal. But I'm not a lawyer, and I'm just sort of reading between the lines here. So it may be different to that, but they could be appeals. We could also appeal the number of visas that are reserved. Okay, there is an order now that has said reserve the number of visas. It was very important that we get that order before September the 30th. I'm a little bit grey as to how that number could be varied later, but I think because we've got the order, and this could be, the lawyers could correct me on this, because we've got the order, we can correct something that's in the order, whereas if we hadn't got a reservation order at all by September 30th, we'd frankly be dead in the water now. We couldn't come back later and get visas reserved for this point. So we could look at the math that Judge Mehta has used and maybe recalculate in some way and ask for more visas. I think that's a possibility, but we'll have to wait and see what the lawyers say about that. Okay. So let me just address a couple of specific scenarios that you may have. I mentioned before that if your case is on AP, you've had your interview, or you missed your interview, or any of those things, effectively your case is dead right now. Okay, if you didn't get issued before September 30th, there is your case is dead. According to the government, according to KCC, according to the embassy, DV2021 is over. The only people who stand a chance of being helped, by the lawsuits right now are the Goh and Goodluck plaintiffs. And so we might see some sort of help for cases that are currently in AP, but all of the legal arguments will have to be resolved first before we get to that point. Okay, so be prepared to wait. That could mean that if you were in AP and you're a Goodluck case and you are lucky enough to be reconsidered later, you'll probably have to re-perform your medicals. Okay, so just be aware of that. And I know it's expensive, but that's what it is, right? What if your case was not documentarily qualified? Okay, so you might be a plaintiff, or you might be a non-plaintiff. Let me just say, there is no help at all in this order for non-plaintiffs, right? Unlike DV 2020, where we had a class certification, there is no class that's been certified at the last minute. I was hoping they would try and do something to try and certify a class to cover everybody, but they didn't, which means that non-plaintiffs, people who are not in the Goodluck and the Go cases, have no rights at all in this particular scenario. The DV 2021 year is over. The only glimmer of hope that those cases would have, and all cases, the only other glimmer of hope that those people would have is if the legislation changes that are being discussed at the moment, and we talk about these as being the Meng amendments for Meng Amendment number 1 and number 2, if those became law. But those are not law right now. They're just suggestions. There's an argument going on about those right now, and so we'll have to wait and see how that argument happens. But right now those are not there. So for non-plaintiffs, sadly, your case is pretty much at the end of the road, and there's nothing that can be done to you can't start another lawsuit. You can't do anything now. There are no other lawsuits that will protect your rights retroactively. You should have been on the lawsuit. You can't now get on another lawsuit, right? If you were not documentarily qualified and you're one of the Goodluck or the Goh plaintiffs, and you're not DQ, does that lessen your chances? Well, that goes to a question of saying, who will these 6,914 visas go to in the Goodluck case and the 481? What will be the prioritization? How will the ordering be? Well, I don't know is the simple answer. I think if the government is left to do it, they will probably go on the date of being documentarily qualified. That's what they're doing up to now. All cases are current. The case number, in one sense, is no longer important. All cases are equal, right, as far as the case number is concerned. And so the next way to prioritize or order cases is based on the date of documentarily qualified. However, as we know, because of the lawsuit, that's kind of an unfair thing, because there are many people who submitted their documents in good faith and in good, correct order, etc., in good time. There are many people who submitted their documents and never got documentarily qualified. There are some other people who I'm sure, submitted documents or they thought they had, but they screwed it up. They didn't read the instructions properly. They just screwed it up, and they continued to screw it up despite everything I could do and despite everything, all the instructions, etc. They just continue to not pay attention. I still now get people who tell me, "Oh, I sent this document, and I'm like, well, you didn't send the other police certificate you were supposed to send. That's why you never got DQ." People don't seem to read the instructions, and because they don't, then they screw their own cases up. So going back to the ordering, the date of being DQ is kind of an unfair thing, but it's the process that KCC use. Now, why am I not sure what date is actually going to be used or what ordering is going to be used? Well, of course, we don't have the final order yet, right? So it's possible, not very likely, but it's possible that Judge Mehta could inject himself upon this and say, here's the order that I want to see those cases issued in. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to leave that to the government, but it's possible that he could say something based on his understanding now, his knowledge of the case. He could do that. He hasn't done that in Gomez, but of course we don't have the final order in Gomez, the DV2020 case. And so it's still to be seen how that gets ordered, right? And until we get that, we don't know. So I can't tell you who will be responsible for ordering, or how there will be an ordering to say which of the 481 or the 6914 cases get lucky. There are certainly not enough visas for everybody in those two cases. There are going to be some plaintiffs that will miss out. Judge Mehta is perfectly understanding of that. He made a mathematical calculation based on what he thought was right. I don't particularly agree with it, but nevertheless, he's applied some logic. And what he's tried to do is he's tried to apply some logic in a way that won't be successfully challenged in an appeal. He's trying to sort of split the baby, as I mentioned earlier, but also do it in such a way that he's taken account of all the law and the logic and the understanding, etc. And so that's what he's done. And I always was concerned, and I think I've told you before, I was always concerned that we would not get 100% of the visas. I was probably more concerned than I'd ever publicly spoken about, to be honest. But that's that's the reality. I was hoping we would get something for non-plaintiffs. Fundamentally, in my heart, I'm someone who would like to see fair play for everybody, but we would not be talking about any of this had it not been for the people who are courageous enough to enroll themselves on the lawsuits, pay some money, and allow these arguments to go ahead. So, those people, frankly, do deserve a vote of thanks. These lawsuits. I mean, I've seen unfair things in the DV lottery for years, right? But I'm not a lawyer, and I'm only one person. I couldn't fight the government. It was only about a year and a half ago, in speaking to the Ayla team and Curtis Morrison, and then getting to know Chuck Cook and Greg Siskin and so on. It's only in the last year and a half or so that we've managed to get the circumstances together to fight the government over this. Okay, but it's very expensive to do this. Very expensive. And it's not easy, and it's taken significantly capable lawyers 18 months of their lives to fight this all through. There was no way in the world I could do that. And so whilst I was aware of some injustice in the past, I'm just one guy and I'm not a lawyer, and I was not in a position to fight as the lawyers have done. So I'm grateful that some people were happy to be clients, and that those lawyers have taken the fight so hard. Okay, so hey Malia, still here, yeah. Yeah, indeed. So I think I've covered some of those things. Let me just take a couple of quick questions, but I've got a meeting in a few minutes, so I've only got a few minutes. So disappointed, non-plaintiff, AF31K. Is it okay next time? We'll try. Okay, quick thing. DV2023 registration period is now announced from October 6th to November 9th. Anybody can apply for that. Doesn't matter if you are a DV 2020, 21, 22 winner. Anybody can apply. It has no effect on your existing cases that are going through. You're welcome to apply for that. I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way, by the way. And some of you are sort of so pissed off right now, so fed up right now, you don't want to hear about the DV lottery. Fine, that's fine. You don't have to do anything about it. But for those of you that do want to enter, you're welcome to re-enter the lottery. Okay, the new lottery that's just about to start. Can I use an old photo example from last year? No, you bloody well can't. Read the instructions. Dear me. You're asking the question because it's not okay. Why ask the question? Okay, so let's see what other DV 2021 questions can I read? Oh, this is this is interesting. I haven't read the instructions, but you're saying Venezuelans are out of the lottery for DV 2023. So the way that works, Eli, is eligibility for the lottery. Which countries can be eligible is based on how many immigration cases those countries send outside of the DV lottery. And once they reach a certain sort of number, they're considered to be too big a country to be needed to be represented by the DV lottery. The D in DV is diversity, and the DV lottery is specifically for countries which are underrepresented by other forms of immigration. So apparently Venezuela has hit the mark where the other forms of immigration, such as work immigration or family immigration, those numbers are high enough to knock it out of eligibility for DV. So that's interesting. I hadn't read that yet. It's just been published, but I've been focused on DV 2021. So you're an Iranian DV 2021 winner, Samara Josie. You didn't participate in the lawsuit, lack of budget right now. I have a good resource. Can I set an individual plaintiff for myself? No, I just covered that. No, you can't do anything else. It was too late now. And the idea that you can not afford to be on a lawsuit that costs $500 to join, and that somehow you could have an individual lawsuit which is probably $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to have a lawyer acting for you solely, it's nuts. Your chance was to be on the Goh and Goodluck lawsuits, and now it's too late. So I'm sorry, you have to take your chances when they're available. Okay, I'm sorry, there's just no nicer way to put that. Hi, going to plaintiff AS 11,000. Do you think it's a good idea at this point to transfer my case from? Right. So, is it cause delay? For right now, forget about transfers. There's no one going to be talking to you about transfers, right? If you contact KCC or the embassies, either of those embassies, they will tell you that DV 2021 is over. Okay, so nobody's going to be working on transferring your case. That's not going to work. It's not going to happen. You have to wait for the Go case to continue to get the final order, and only then will they pay any attention. And what they'll probably do is they'll go through the selectees in whatever order they've decided. And if they want to make your case happen, they'll make your case happen, right? Based on issuing the 481. What do I think about DV 2022? Will it still work better than 2020 or 2021? No, it won't work better. It was still in a mess. So there's been lots of damaging things done to DV 2020 and 2021. The Trump's bans, COVID, of course, but also as a result of COVID, some of the things that they've done, the prioritization scheme in particular, have been particularly damaging. There's also the new document procedure, and I say new; it was only introduced in 2018, and that has screwed up. It screwed up DV 2019. Which people don't understand, but it did. It screwed up 2019, 2020, and 2021, and it's still not fixed, right? They still can't get this bloody process sorted out. So what problems does DV 2022 have? It's got the document procedure problem, which is a frustrating, annoying process that I'm now getting to understand more because of what happened in DV 2021, but still people are managing to screw it up, and KCC screw it up. The prioritization for DV cases is still set at at tier 4. That means at the very lowest level of priority compared to all the other immigration cases. And there are embassies which have got so many non-DV cases that any efforts they put into scheduling goes to other cases, and very few cases get done for DV 2022. So there isn't going to be very much time for DV 2022 cases. So we're going to have a problem. We're going to see DV 2020 cases being issued in the DV 2022 timeline. We're going to see Go issued, and probably Goodluck will be in the latter half of DV 2022. But the DV 2021 cases will be prioritized higher than DV 2022. Unless the DV 2022 cases benefit from the government waking the heck up and taking out that prioritization. So is DV 2022 going to be better? Not very much better, no. There are still going to be embassies closed. They're still going to be prioritizing low, and you're still going to have to deal with the frustrating documentarily qualified process, which is why, by the way, if you're DV 2022, send your bloody documents to KCC now. Don't wait. Okay, because you need that extra time. So get on with it. Okay. Quick question here: is there an impact from an F1 visa to DV lottery? No, there's no sort of impact between the two. Low cases issued only due to all attorney agreed to cancel the class action. So it's not all attorneys agreed to it. Specifically, there was a class action in one of the cases, and that Curtis Morrison was handling, Curtis and Raphael, and they pulled back on the class action. Would we have got more visas reserved if we had a class action? Yes, we would. We would have got a higher number of visas. But the paying customers of Curtis and Raphael would have been disadvantaged in that position, because the visas would be kind of a free-for-all for everybody, non-plaintiffs and plaintiffs alike. Judge Mehta made it clear that he wasn't going to give priority to named plaintiffs in that scenario. And so based on that, Curtis gambled that his clients would be better served by not continuing with the class action. And so the number we've got reserved is certainly lower. I agree with you. But the chance for named plaintiffs is arguably higher. Maybe. I don't know if it's worked out that way, frankly. But certainly that was the perspective. Curtis took a gamble, assuming that he would be able to get more advantage for the named plaintiffs if non-named plaintiffs weren't included in the reservation order. So that's what he did. He did what he thought was best for the clients that pay him. You may see that as an incorrect decision or whatever. I'm sorry if you feel that way. It was his decision to make, and he made it. So there you go. I don't know how the visas are going to be distributed yet. So yeah, the Meng Amendment is in the reconciliation bill. Any updates on that? No. The reconciliation bill is being argued right now, but I don't know when there'll be a final vote on that, and I don't know if the Meng amendments will be in or not. We just have to wait and see. It can be argued all the way until it's voted on. I mean, it's a complex process, right? Let's see. Do we need to send a G28 to introduce our lawyer to KCC and DV cases? I don't know your situation, Arvin, but speak to your lawyer. Ask them. Curtis plaintiff DQ'd in March. Any chance? I don't know. It's going to be months before we know anything, right? But roughly speaking, 6,914 is about 30% of the cases left in the Goodluck case. Probably not even 30%, actually. There's going to be some chance for some cases, but I don't know which cases. The fact that you're DQ'd early, that could help you, but I don't know 100% that it's going to work out for you or any other specific case. And it'll be probably 6 months before anything happens. Okay. Why CX date not open yet for DV 2022? That's the same every year, Paul. It won't open. The CX information to check your status won't be available until January the 1st. That's the same every single year. Forget anyone trying to wind you up. Thank you, B. Nobody's going to wind me up. It's not possible to wind me up, really. Not really. Anyone got a DV 2020 interview, 22? I believe there may be some interviews already scheduled in November, maybe. I haven't seen real evidence of that. There was some rumor about an October 3rd interview that was put out on Twitter. And I thought at the time, and I said at the time, it doesn't look real to me. And I'm still suspicious of that. But we'll see. There might be some cases that were scheduled in October, perhaps, and some in November, maybe. But generally speaking, KCC has been focusing on DV 2021. So there's a delay for DV 2022. Okay, I just want to see if I've covered this and whether there's any other questions about the lawsuit, reservation order, etc. Will DV 2022 be affected? Yes, it's already affected. It's over for non-plaintiffs. That's pretty much accurate, unless the main amendment comes. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was recommending a few months ago, especially for countries where Curtis was offering to sign a client up for no initial upfront cost. I was saying then, what the hell have you got to lose? Why won't you sign up for one of the lawsuits? You know, I'm sorry that people didn't all listen. When Curtis got 24,000 people on his lawsuit, I was surprised in one way, but I wasn't surprised in another way, in that I've been telling people quite loudly, look, you got nothing to lose at this point. Why not just sign up on that? So, and $500, frankly, for a lot of people, that was also nothing, in terms of the initial investment. So honestly, I think it's a shame if you didn't get onto that lawsuit at least. Not that it would have guaranteed your rights 100%, as we can now see, but it was better than nothing. 6,914 visas is better than no visas, right? Okay. Yeah, another question about transferring to another embassy, and good luck. For now, then no one's going to transfer you, right? And you've got about 6 months to wait. During that time, Moscow embassy might sort of get up to speed. So, just for now, wait. Okay. Can I participate in a lawsuit from Afghanistan? You can participate in a lawsuit from anywhere, but if you're a DV 2021, you want to get on the lawsuit now, it's too late. There will be lawsuits for DV 2022, without a doubt. It just will be, because the government's not going to fix these problems overnight. They're just not gonna. So I think Curtis already has a sign-up form for people that want to be on a DV 2022 lawsuit. It's a bit early. Technically, or legally speaking, it's too early to complain that the government are not doing it on October 1st. It's too early. We know they're not going to do anything. We know they're going to screw the year up, but it's too early to be complaining that they have screwed the year up already, because the year's only just started today. So, there you go. Guys, there's a ton of questions here. I can't answer any more questions. I will do. I'll do another live session in a couple of days' time. But I did want to just go through this DV 2021 lawsuit, and just sort of try and explain that. For everybody else, for DV 2022 in particular, your year is starting today. It's a 1-year process. Your case number is important. If your case number is, I don't know, Asia 20,000, you've got a long wait ahead of you anyway, right? There's no need to freak out today that nobody is giving you DQ and all that sort of thing. However, the best advice I can give to DV 2022 cases is make sure your documents are submitted to KCC, get yourself ready, etc., and start learning about the process. But there's no point in freaking out that your embassy is closed today, right? If your case number is high case number and your embassy is closed, well, you've got a long time to wait before your embassy being closed is an issue for you. So, a bit of patience and common sense there as well, please. And then, as I say, DV 2023 entry period will open in 6 days' time, in October the 6th. And the day that you enter the lottery doesn't make any difference. So don't feel like you've got to rush for that. You do have to have a passport, so make sure you've got your passport ready. Check it now, so that if you need to renew your passport, there's still time. Okay. Okay. So I think I'll call that a day. I hope that was useful. I hope it clarified some of the things, and probably this probably news for you that this won't immediately mean issues are being if visas are being issued. and that the orders we've got are not the final orders. That's probably news. I understand that, because people don't seem to be paying attention to that. So, as ever, patience is key in this. We know that we have got some protection, but there's still legal arguments to be played out. So, unfortunately, it's not a quick, easy process. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. I wish things were a little bit more, more good news. I wish everybody had been protected. I wish non-plaintiffs had been protected. But unfortunately, this is the way I look at the order. It's better than nothing. Thousands of people are going to be helped by this. That's better than no people. There's probably, with the lawsuits, we've probably saved about 10,000 people extra in DV 2021, and about 17,000 or so extra in DV 2020. That's a big deal. That's 27,000 people that have got visas that wouldn't have if it weren't for the lawsuits. It's not as good as all 55,000 visas getting issued. I get that, but it's better than nothing. All right. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye now.